You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Click live stream tab or watch us live on your smart TV. YouTube, WCEG Network. I am Damita Chatman, your host on Take a Stand for the next hour. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram at WCEG Talk _radio at WCEG Network. Last but least, this is disclaimer. The topics and opinions are those of the show host and not the guests of WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. I want to thank everyone for coming this morning. Good afternoon. Council Whitmore, Jonathan Leon, work with the Democratic Party. We had a mix up of our other guests, so we're going to just move on. Again, thank you today. I'm going to give them 2 minutes to introduce yourself. We're going to go with the council first.
Yes, thank you. I'm Councilman James Whitmore with the city of Fairburn. I am happy to be on your show today. Thank you for the invite. I am here representing the city of Fairburn, led by our CEO, Mayor Elizabeth Carr Hurst. We are doing a lot of great things here in the city of Fairburn, and I'm excited about coming on the show just to share some snippets of what we're doing. But what we really want to do is just invite you down to our downtown area and see some of the things for yourself. So as we go on with the show, you will hear a lot of great things that's happening in the city of Fairburn under the current leadership of Mayor Elizabeth Carr Hurst. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Come on, Mr. Leon. I got a chance to meet this young man through the Democratic Party. And I mean, when I say he's a power, he's power. Come on, Leon, let's talk to me.
I so appreciate this invite once again. Damita, it's good to see you and great to chat with you once again. Hello, everyone listening. My name is Jonathan Leon. I'm a father, a husband, and every day that I wake up, I am working to change the laws for kids. I serve as the senior director here in Georgia of Leadership for Educational Equity, where I get the opportunity to work with a team of civic leaders who are out trying to ensure that we are taking care of this issue around educational inequity in our community. When I'm not with my kids or hanging with my wife and doing all those duties, I have the opportunity to serve as the political director here for the South region for the Democratic Party in Georgia. Very excited to, again, chat with you about everything that's happening, issues both locally and also nationally, and so appreciative to be serving on a panel as well with Councilmember Whitmore.
Thank you. I'm gonna stay with you for a minute. I'm gonna call you Jonathan because we got that relationship.
Absolutely.
Tell me, where do you see the Democrat Party going in 2022?
That is such a loaded question, but I appreciate it. I'll try to tackle it, and I'll tackle it in 3 ways. The first, here in this state specifically, we are going to have to overcome all of the obstacles which all of these voter suppression bills have put up. What we saw in 2020 from the excitement, getting rid of Donald Trump in office, putting Joe Biden into office, putting 2 Democrat senators into office. We have to duplicate that, but we're duplicating that in a different environment. We'll be definitely looking at longer waiting lines, more obstacles when it comes to casting a ballot, more obstacles when we're talking about voter IDs, obstacles when we're talking about polling locations being closed, boxes being moved. I mean, just today we got a note from our elections officials across our state. They need 5 additional weeks because we don't even know where the lines are going to be drawn yet for redistricting. Wow. So that alone, they are looking to push the qualifying dates which will then push our election 5 additional weeks because we don't even know where our lines are being drawn or the impacts of these racist policies. Just quite plain and simple. The second thing that is going to have to happen, and this is always tough during the midterm, we've seen it constantly, is we have to keep the excitement going, right? We have to make sure that Democrats know that they need to show up and show out once again. We had probably the world's longest voting and election season, and I know that folks were tired of getting those calls and tired of getting those text messages, but we made a difference. And not only did we make a difference here in Georgia, we are making a difference across this country. And these votes that are coming up this week that we see in the House and in the Senate, these are happening because what we did here in Georgia. Yeah. The third thing that we're going to have to do is continue to connect with voters on the field. We have to do a better job listening. I think that we kind of went too radio silent for a little while, giving folks a break and a chance to recharge, but we need to listen and figure out what issues are coming out as we're still dealing with COVID, as we're still looking at increased cost of living, transportation issues, infrastructure problems. We have to do listening, and we have to make sure that our message is getting through to the voters so that they know that Democrats have a plan for them.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question before I go to the councilman. Don't you think that sometimes we kind of get things kind of confused, saying that the national politics is more powerful than the local, where really your local politics is the driver?
We miss that all the time. I think the greatest example of that was during COVID. The dollars that came down to the county and city level to help those who were impacted with their housing, like that would not have moved if it wasn't for our local elected officials. They took that ball, they ran with it, they ensured that folks were able to stay in their houses. Property owners were able to still pay the mortgage. Like they kept this thing together. And it's so important to see like how more immediate and impactful our local politicians are in our lives.
Excellent. I'm gonna go and let Councilman Whitmore step in that, because I know that it probably helped their city also.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the money that came down from the federal government into our local government, it was something that was really needed. During COVID, it affected us all in ways unimaginable, really. But by having that local leadership, the ability to put together something comprehensive to ensure that we keep our citizens safe, number one, and also keep our employees safe, number two. But by our mayors, in this particular case, Mayor Elizabeth Carr-Hurst, being a very strong advocate for this city, going down to Fulton County government and fighting for what we knew we deserved. We didn't get everything, but we got a lot that we were able to assist. And just dealing with the PPEs, that was a big help for us, you know, just being able to share the wealth with that additional equipment throughout the city. Not only here in the city, we actually, even recently, there was one of the local hospitals that were short on gowns and short on gloves and these type of things, with the numbers going up as it is. But this particular city took the lead, and we reached out to them. Our mayor reached out to them and said, we're going to send truckloads of additional PPEs to assist the medical personnel. She didn't have to do that, but she did, because she understands the importance of the medical community as well. You know, I feel for our medical community. My wife is a nurse educator, and just knowing the things that the doctors, the nurses, the interns, everybody within the population of the hospital, they are carrying a heavy load. And with these numbers the way they are, it's not over with yet. We still have to fight. So yes, the monies that have been received from the federal and also our county government, it definitely helped in a tremendous way.
Good. Now, let me ask you a question. Didn't you guys open a urgent care or something out in your community?
Yes, ma'am. We opened the urgent care. We just had the ribbon cutting maybe about 2 months ago. Okay. And it was a beautiful thing. It was something that the South needed for a very, very long time. Mayor Hurst and our economic development staff, they worked tirelessly to ensure that we're getting some of the things that we need on that 74 corridor. What people don't understand is that our model for our city is situated to succeed. And the mayor added an additional part to that, which is moving forward together. And by us getting that center, that urgent care center here in the city, it pays dividends. We had a gentleman that came into the city hall last week, actually, and he was just sharing that he had to go to the urgent care, and it was so nice to be able to go locally versus having to drive miles away to get the medical treatment that you really need. So we're glad to have it here in our city, and that's because of the leadership. And Jonathan, you said it, that was very astute of you, sir, when you said that the local government is very, very important, because we are the ground roots. We are the ones that's actually reaching out and touching our citizens. And without our citizens doing their civic responsibilities by making sure we get out to vote, that is very important as well. And we all know what happened over the past 4 years with Trumpism. But now we have to just pull up our bootstraps, and we're just going to have to get out there and do what we need to do. We have people that are currently in office that has been working throughout this pandemic. I can tell you that what we have done here in the city of Fairburn, the mayor, along with myself, and maybe one or two other council people, we were going out when no one else wanted to be bothered with anybody, but we knew that we had some struggling families out there. So working in collaboration with Margie's House, we were able to go out there every other week and actually provide food baskets from USDA, and we distributed. We didn't discriminate against anybody. We didn't care if they were in the city or not. We knew that there were people out there that needed help. Not only that we have the partnership with them, we also had the partnership with Bishop Aaron B. Lackey at the Temple of Prayer Church as well. We distributed food there. We worked with the VA that is located right here in our own city, right in Duncan Park. So the partnerships that we were able to develop under the current leadership, that afforded us the opportunity to make sure that we reached out to the masses. And you know what? It hasn't stopped. We're still doing that. Every other week, Margie's House is still providing those services. And this is a very important thing to have within your city, because you really don't know who's in need until the need is really needed to be addressed.
Absolutely. And you took it out, Mike, because I was going to bring up Bishop Lackey doing those food drives over there in Fairburn. Tell me, as a council, what is your biggest accomplished since you've been the councilman on the Fairburn Council?
I have a few to speak of. Okay. And I'm going to start off with our police department. Prior to me coming on council 6 years ago, at that time, Councilwoman Elizabeth Carr Hurst, she provided a presentation for mayor and council about police body cameras. None of our cities here in the South had police body cameras, but she felt compelled, and she was just steadfast and unmovable, saying this is what we need. Even though the previous administration said, no, we don't need cameras, we only need boots on the ground. Well, she didn't give up on that dream, because she understood the impact. I mean, look at what happened across the nation with all the unrest that we had to incur based on police brutality. But what she did when I came on council, she brought it back up before council, and we were able to get it in. Not only did the local officials gravitate to it and appreciated it, but listening to the police officers, because now they knew they had a device that now when people come in with open records and they claim that a police officer said or did whatever, we can go right back to the film, and it tells us what really happened. So let me tell you the impact that has had. Okay. Now, as of today, whenever we have a complaint that comes in, as soon as they ask for that open record request and we send it to them, we don't hear from them anymore, because now they see how they acted towards our officers. But it's a two-way street. Absolutely. It protects our officers and it protects our citizens. We have not had any incident whatsoever in the city of Fairburn in reference to police brutality in the city of Fairburn. Why is that? Because our police chief and everyone under his command, they believe in community policing. Actually, I have some stats in front of me here, whereas just for this calendar year, our department averaged 1,443 traffic warnings. Hear what I'm saying? Traffic warnings. And out of that amount, only 564 citations were issued. So what does that do? That helps to educate our citizens that, okay, yes, you did wrong, but you're getting a break. You're going to have an opportunity to correct yourself in the future because now you were pulled over. All right. We are seeing here in the city of Fairburn that is working. And it's because of the leadership that we have of our Chief Stoney Mathis. And let it be known, Chief Stoney Mathis was handpicked by Mayor Elizabeth Carr Hurst. He has come into the city and he has really changed the atmosphere within that agency, and it just spread throughout, and our crime rates are even down. I'm looking at 2019, our part one crime reduction was a minus 16.9 compared to the previous year. In 2020, a minus 30% compared to the previous year. And so far this year, a minus 24.1 year to date. And we expect it to go down more. Why? Because our police officers are out there doing the things that they're supposed to do, engaging the public. And now when we have those individuals that may consider doing something illegal, they see our cars out there and they say, we getting out of Fairburn. We're not going to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because I heard somewhere where the city of Fairburn was sitting speed traps. But what I can say in the last 2 years, you see the presence of your police department. So I commend you there. What is it like working on a council? You have what, 3 females or 2 females?
Oh, on council, we have currently 1, 2, 3 females, yes. And well, wait a minute, you have me thinking here. So yes, and then yes. So we do have 3 females and we have a strong mayor. So working on council, you know, as you well know, there can be some division on council. Yes. You have a lot of council that we're very strong-minded and we believe in what we believe in. But what council has to understand is that when we're in a role as council, we also have to look to the head. We have to look to that CEO. What is the vision of the CEO? Can we embrace that vision of the CEO? Well, I have been one that my politics mirrors Mayor Elizabeth Carr Hurst, and I see her vision, I understand her vision, I embrace her vision. So I articulate that vision. I work very close with the mayor because I see the changes that has happened under this current administration. I've only been on council 4 years. Out of those, I'm sorry, 6 years. But out of those 6 years, the 4 years under this administration, so much has been accomplished. And you know what? We're not done yet. And that's the reason why she's running for re-election, because with her vision, she has future visions and plans of what we need here in the city as well. We can get it done. We just need to get our people out to vote. Right. And if they come out to vote, we're going to do this thing.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question, because you're connected to Union City, Palmetto, Chattahoochee, the new city of South Fulton, East Point. It's 8 cities out here. So how do you guys work together with the boarding communities?
Well,
let me say this. I know often it's a hot topic of the warehouses. So kind of shed a little light on that. How do you guys work together?
Well, everything stems from the relationship that's established with your mayor. Our mayor is a very strong mayor, and she communicates with all of the mayors here in the South. Yes, I understand that there's some contention with warehousing in some of our other neighboring municipalities. We have warehousing here in our city as well. But we have taken a stance now that we have enough warehousing. We want to address the other issues that the warehousing has brought into our community, like traffic, the trucks. Okay. I remember about 3 years ago, I was down at our convention down in Savannah, Georgia, and I took a class where I can go and tour the port of Savannah. But before going out on the tour, we had a presentation, and the gentleman identified the fact that they're still drudging down there in Savannah. Why are they dredging? Because they want to get the larger cargo ships in that's going to have all these trailers on it. So at the end of his presentation, I only had 2 questions for him. Okay. My question for him was, number one, we already have a large issue with truck traffic throughout the state of Georgia. What is the percentage of those cargoes, trailers coming off of the ship? How many of those cargo containers are going to be on our roadway? How are we going to be able to separate that to reduce, not to increase? Because they talked about the railroad. They're building an additional railroad so they can send it via the railroad to the various destinations. But there was only a small percentage of those tractor trailers that were going to go on rail. So we still have to come together as elected officials and figure out a way that we can combat the issue that we have with our heavy traffic. I mean, look, we are so situated to succeed. Right at the exit here, right off of 85 is 74. So it's a major throughway for us. And we have people coming from Palmetto. We have people going up to Peachtree City, Tyrone, the movie studios. So we get a lot of traffic coming down here. But what are we going to do to combat it? Well, one of the things, we have to have a relationship with who? Georgia DOT. This administration has a great relationship with Georgia DOT. We have the bridge that's going to be raised up, and we're going to have another figure 8 put in on the opposite side. So now when people are coming to Fairburn, they can get off that exit and make a right. When they want to go to Tyrone or going down to Peachtree City, they have to go around the loop and then proceed there as well. By them expanding the roadway and expanding the exits, that's going to afford us some flexibility there. But we can't stop there. So what did we do under this administration? This year, we had a ribbon cutting for an extension that we had right there on Sonoya Road. So now, with the monies that was dedicated and spent within this administration, now they can come on down on the Fairburn industrial area and make that left and go back to those warehouses and everything else. So you have to consider or consciously think about how can we improve our infrastructure by diverting some of the traffic another way so that our residents can still continue to move about freely.
All right, thank you. I want to go to Jonathan. We're going to talk a little politics, and I know you guys are nonpartisan there, but you ain't got to tell me who your party is, but I know we probably on the same page. Jonathan, can someone put your absentee ballot in the ballot box?
Can someone drop their absentee ballot in the ballot box?
Yes.
Currently, we're still operating. Well, the SB 202 has been signed, so that is now Georgia code. Currently, that is the case, but the issue is where these ballot boxes will be, right? Okay. Like the 24-hour surveillance and security needs that the bill wrote in for that actual box needing to be placed on a piece of public property as well has been an issue. So those are going to be some of the issues that we see coming up. It's probably going to be less about, ballot. We did a lot with absentee ballot signatures. It's going to be more so this time about, can we get copies of IDs inserted into these envelopes so that folks' votes could even count? And then when we get those in, will we then be able to send them to the ballot box? Or can we drop these in the ballot boxes? Will there be people watching the ballot boxes and harassing folks if they see, authorized person like a son dropping off an elderly folks absentee ballot, right? Like there's so many issues that we are expecting when it comes to this election that we really need to get in front of by getting the information out now, how we can vote safely and securely.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. How can we get a voter ID for folks that don't drive? You have a lot of seniors, then you have a lot of young adults that don't drive. So how can you get that voter ID to them?
Well, yes. So voter ID, we're looking at it expansively, right? So it's not only like your driver's license, which you are typically issued by the DMV. And just a quick note on that, like the really evil part of this bill is at the same time they're pushing for increased identification. They were closing DMV locations across our state, particularly in our rural communities and particularly in our communities of color. Point blank period. So they're closing off that access and then requiring extra steps to get there. But that ID that they are accepting is expansive. Things like your license to carry a weapon. You can get a non-driver's license, a state ID as well. Any license, if you work with the state or that ID, that badge also counts. So there are ways to work around it. One of the things that organizers will be working on across the state, though, is getting with our elderly populations, getting with our populations who may be under-resourced and don't have access to that, and supporting them and ensuring that they can get some identification so that we can get their votes and ensure that they're being counted, again, safely and securely. We want the same things. It's just we got to go about them totally different when we're talking about access.
Right. Now, I know they changed, they're trying to do away, and I'm going to use her name because it's public. Didn't they remove Miss Helen Butler down in Gordon County? Was she down in Gordon County?
Are we talking about on the elections board?
Yes.
Yeah, so that, I know the issue in Fulton County, Miss Helen Butler, yes, in Gordon County, around voter registration.
Yeah.
That was referring to. Yep. And again, that was a case of harassment and intimidation, just plain and simple. And I think that their fight in the court and all of the media coverage that's going down there, I know that Black Voters Matter and a few other organizations here in our state really picked up that charge in supporting her. But intimidation and harassment for folks who are trying to, again, ensure that people that look like you and me have access to the ballot box.
Do you guys have a plan to get the young votes out? Because I know some, young folks, we're not voting. Our vote don't count no more. And so you guys have a plan to get them young votes out?
Absolutely. The state party has been working hand in hand with some of the young Democrat chapters, Young Democrats of America, along with folks like Fair Fight Action, who just recently actually kicked off their conversations about the culture, basically a video and web series that's tuned for younger folks to have conversations about politics. And you see a lot of pushing on social media, TikTok, expanding the ways that we interact with voters, as well as letting them know that, the vote is just one part of it, right? The advocacy, stepping up, ensuring that we're having conversations like this one. You're talking to your actual council people about the things that you want to see in your community.
Yes. I'm going to come to Councilman Whitmore. I'm going to ask you, and I think I know the answer, but I want to ask you, do you guys have a strong mayor, weak council, or a strong council and weak mayor over in Fairburn?
We have a strong mayor set up here in the city. Now, as far as council is concerned, when we have things that come before us, the mayor will not vote unless there's a tie. If it's a 3-3 tie, she'll be able to break that vote. But we have a strong mayor in our city. Actually, our mayor is actually wearing 2 hats right now. And not only is she the CEO and the mayor of our city, but she's really running the day-to-day operations as we speak right now. We're actually actively looking for a city manager, but right now she's doing a great job wearing both hats. She's keeping this city moving forward in a very positive way.
Okay, I'm looking, Council, I'm looking at all that road work on 29. I try to go and spend a little bit of money over in your city once a week. And one of your former councilmen women introduced me to Casablanca.
Yes.
So I go to Casablanca every Friday. So tell me, that construction over there, I see a lot of roundabouts and sidewalks. Tell me, how do your community feel about all of that?
Well, you know, we had community involvement. That's our streetscape that we have going on downtown Fairburn, which is targeted to be completed by the end of October. But we had meetings leading up to this. We've been looking at it for years now, but we finally broke ground. And last year we didn't have one of our major events because the ground was already broken and we didn't want to have any issues with anybody getting injured. But our streetscape is really turning out to be something even greater when you look at it with the naked eye. And I can just imagine what it's going to look like once it's completed. And in speaking of one of our new restaurants downtown, Casablanca, if you know the history of Casablanca, they were originally here in the city of Fairburn. Some years back, we had a major fire in Fairburn and they were relocated down to Palmetto. During the tenure of Councilwoman at the time, Councilwoman Elizabeth Carhurst, she spoke to the owner of Casablanca and she said, if I ever become mayor, I'm bringing you back to the city. So what did we do? This council went ahead and we gave notice to our the individuals that were renting the property. First of all, you must understand that our train depots belong to the city of Fairburn. So we need to have say-so in what we want. Our citizens are saying they wanted more restaurants downtown. Well, now this council has delivered. We brought Casablanca back and put them in the other train depot. And when I was talking to Ms. Ursula even last week, and I asked her, well, how is it since you've been back? She said, business has doubled, you know? And what we're doing right now, we have coming up for Georgia Cities Week on one of the days, we're going to have a job fair because we're learning now that a lot of our businesses are struggling and they need help. They need people to come and work. And Ursula is one of those places. Right now, she's only open 4 days a week. She wants to open more. But as you can see, we have listened to the citizenship of the city of Fairburn. We want more. We're going to get more. I think back when Mayor Hurst went and had a meeting with the officials to the south of us. And the one thing that came back out of that meeting, they identified the fact that the city of Fairburn has been redlined. All right. Now, we know what that means. Okay. It means that they were bypassing places like Fairburn and they were still building in places like Peachtree City, Fayetteville, so on and so forth. Well, now they know that we're on the map. They have to come through Fairburn to go to various destinations. So we're still working to really get some nice sit-down restaurants there on 74. You know, the people that make these decisions, they state that we don't have rooftops. Well, I beg to differ with them. We have so much construction going on within the city. We're building communities. The community that I live in, once it's totally built out, it's going to be 860 plus houses. We have another community that's going to be built right next to the Renaissance Center that they started clearing the land there. We have some more houses that's being built on another side of the city. So I don't want to hear people say we don't have the rooftops. We currently have the rooftops and we're getting more because we're being very responsible in our economic growth. We're bringing in the tax base with the houses, but we also need the businesses. With the plan, with the vision, with all of us working together, can we achieve? Absolutely. Will we achieve? We shall.
Okay. Let me ask you before I go back to Jonathan. What plans do you have for our youth and seniors population?
Wow. You know, you just touched on probably something that I dealt with when I first decided to run for council. I was really concerned about our youth because the programs that we had in the city really was ineffective. So we had more people from the Board of Ed that were drawing paychecks, and we didn't even have kids in there to help them with homework and to help them to achieve what they wanted to achieve. Well, the first thing that I did when I came into office is I asked if we can bring mental fitness ATL to the city of Fairburn. It was only going to be a summer camp, but within that first year, we had about 80 kids that were going through the program. But what was really nice about the program is the partnerships. The partnership with Georgia Tech, who embraced us, and they built 25 laptops. So when we were dealing with the various projects that we were working on, the kids were able to have on hands excitement in learning how to program. As a matter of fact, our first year for our high schoolers, all the data that was collected for the robotics part of that, all the data was sent to Georgia Tech so they can just group everything together. And if the city of Fairburn's STEAM program would have came in first place, then all that data was going to be sent to NASA. Okay. We came in second place, first awesome. Year out.
Awesome.
It was great.
Awesome.
Seniors.
And you talk about that education, and I know some people, they don't understand that the city council don't control the school board. It's two different things. But you got somebody named Jonathan Leon that is working on that in that education field. You know, there you help right there. Let me ask you, Jonathan, tell me, how can we get the word out about when does early voting start in these early elections, these local elections?
Right around the corner. We start up in the next couple weeks here in October. The word is not, so a lot of these elections are considered nonpartisan at the local level, which means that the Democratic Party will not come in and say and endorse a candidate one way or the other, but oftentimes they will come in and make sure that folks know what's going on. So expect to start hearing some radio spots across your cities. Expect to start getting some mail. And really, we know that a lot of this comes from campaigns. Expect to see a lot more field activity, a lot more people calling on the phone, a lot more text messages over these next few weeks, as folks really want to talk to you. Campaigns want to talk to you to hear not only what your issues are, but they want to earn and win your support. So a lot of these numbers that's calling your phones, particularly if you're a super voter, that's somebody that they know is going to come out, pick it up and have a conversation with those volunteers to figure out what's going on.
Okay, so you telling me don't hit that red button by my
don't
bed
hit the red button
and block them. Now let me ask you a question, Jonathan, because I know you. How can we bring the Democrats together? And I'm going to say this, and I might get in some trouble, but you know I'm a straight shooter. I've noticed that, you know, when you're dealing with those Republicans, no matter what they do, at the end of the day, when they come in the room together, they might fight and argue. But when they come out, if they tell you that it's raining outside, everybody getting on that train saying it's raining outside and you see the sun shining, what can we do to bring our party together without the infighting and everybody's butting heads? Because if we continue to do that, then we won't get nowhere. So what can we do to bring, you know, the party together on that?
I think that we will continue to see fighting and infighting. But I think that if we want to look past that or start to build something that might be a bit better, we have to be better about celebrating the smaller wins.
Absolutely.
You know, what we were able to accomplish January 6th, getting these two senators into office, and Absolutely. How that turned into 2 additional rounds of support for our community, support dollars actually into people's pocket through stimulus. We have to celebrate that more. Currently right now, there's a big push to try to get both the infrastructure bill package passed, the debt ceiling raised, and the last part of the reconciliation bill, which is basically our budget for the next 10 years as a country. They are going at it publicly, privately, on Twitter, off Twitter, everything that you can imagine. But I think that as long as the Democratic Party, and that's, coming from, if you are on the far left and super progressive and liberal to all the way on the moderate side, if you remember that the goal is for us to get together to make sure that we can help and support people. And in the meantime, if I am all the way on the far left and I don't get the full climate bill that I wanted, like, let's celebrate this incremental progress that we're making because, we never know what the next time will bring.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. That bill that they're fighting in right now, do you think they should have held out until they got everything, the voting bill, John Lewis bill? You think we should have held out?
I think that missing the voting bill, and what happened was the parliamentarian came down with the ruling that there were certain things that just could not be included in the budget bill because we tried both the Voting Rights Act and then also a bit on changing the issuance of Medicare as well, right? And there were just some things that the parliamentarian in the Senate and the House said that it does not fit into the structure that they built. I do believe, though, not pursuing voting rights and not getting some package on the table puts Democrats in a very vulnerable position when it comes to not only 2022, but the next 10 years, particularly after redistricting. I think you left a lot there on the table.
And so we're going to talk about that redistricting a little bit. I know they're trying to redistrict, draw them lines. How y'all feel about that? How is it going to affect the city of Fairburn, Council Whitmore?
Well, it's going to affect us just like it's going to affect every other municipality. I mean, the biggest opportunity that we had when we were out and canvassing and trying to get everybody to make sure they filled out the census. A lot of people just did not understand how the census has a mighty role in local government. And because we didn't get the turnout that we expected, now we're going to pay the consequences.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. But, even though we may be paying some consequences, we can still be a force within our party. We have to make sure that we continue to communicate, articulate, share, using every possible platform imaginable, all right, so that people understand when they go to the ballot box, this is what they need to be voting on. I mean, they need to understand T-Splosh. How does T-Splosh affect us with our infrastructure? Okay, when they need to think about the person that they're voting in office. What is their platform? Is their platform is it going to be one that's going to be detrimental to the growth, or is it going to help provide additional growth? You need to make sure that you understand totally what that individual is all about so that you can make an informed decision, not just asking somebody, but researching and seeing what that candidate is all about. If we do that and we continue to reach out to each other, there is a lot of power in numbers.
Absolutely. Right? And absolutely. And I was thinking as you talk, communication is the key. And I think once you get the people engaged, it's powerful, because I know we were talking about the census, and people were saying they didn't want to be tracked. They were going to go to jail. It was all kind of stuff. And, they were trying to get the message out, but we just didn't get it. So now we got to wait another, 10 years?
Years.
To do this again. So could you imagine if everybody filled the census out, and I'm talking about the whole entire South Fulton?
Yes.
Look at the dollars that would come down here.
Yes.
And this is just me talking. I believe they banked on that to go that way, because the dollars that didn't come down here, correct me if I'm wrong, they went up on the other side. Is that correct?
That is correct. Because why? Because they filled out their census.
Their census.
Their numbers are astronomically high in comparison to us here in the South. We did a pretty good job. Don't get me wrong. I don't want you to misunderstand
absolutely.
what I'm saying, but we could have done a better job.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, in this city, we had staff that were working and had these various ways of getting the information out. And, you know, we just was flooding it throughout the city of Fairburn. But again, when the people have that mentality of if I do this, they're going to track me. I don't want nobody to know my business. They don't need to know how many children I have in my house. Well, how are we going to properly prepare for our children if the educational side of the house, they don't know how many kids we're going to have going into our schools? You know, so we missed out on a lot of federal dollars. But again, we have to just do a better job. And I think based on the results that we're looking at now, those of us that are in public office understand it, and
Absolutely.
we're going to find ways to improve to get that information out.
Before I go to Jonathan, I'm going to ask you, and you can give me a answer in 1 minute. How do you feel about the COVID-19 vaccine and booster shot?
Go get it. Mm-hmm. I have it. What alarms me, I have medical background. Okay, so we took the influenza vaccines. So a lot of people weren't losing their life with influenza, and the other shots that we had to take in order to enter school. So
well, you say school, you had to take these shots to go to the military.
Oh, absolutely. I took shots that I didn't want to take, but I'm a volunteer in the United States military. But my answer to that is really, I wish people would really do some hard research and reconsideration. For those that are not vaccinated, you really need to get vaccinated. I'm one that was out in the community during the heat of all this, along with our mayor. And I was concerned for my health, but I used all protective measures while I was out there. And as soon as I was eligible to receive my vaccine, my hand went up and I went and I got my shots. Is awesome. A need.
Awesome. A need. What about you, Jonathan? What you think about COVID-19 vaccines?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I wish that we saw more folks in our population, Black folks of color, getting this vaccine, and we were able to work on this hesitancy, because my greatest fear is this. We know that COVID will be here for some time. However, when it's just killing us, will we still be getting the resources that are out there now? When it's just affecting us because we're not vaccinated, will there still be the opportunity for us? And again, unfortunately, like we've seen in the disease within the family, had family down for visiting for a funeral last week. They literally probably unpacked their bags and they're returning on Thursday for another one. This disease is real. And we need to make sure we're doing everything that we can to stay protected.
Absolutely. It's real. COVID affected my family. Matter of fact, I had a friend that she buried her daughter and son-in-law last Thursday, COVID. So let me ask you a question. You being young, Jonathan, what do you tell them young folks? Because I hear the young folks saying, I'm not going to take the shot. I'm not going to do this shot. Now, when I took my shot, me and my husband was able to take our shot. And I had a good friend to tell us to sign up would go. I told him, I said, look, I got a son and I can't take the shot and my son be out there. So you're going to have to give all three of us the shot. And they said, come on. So what can we get the message out to these young folks to wear your mask, take your shots? What are you guys doing? Because I know you big out there in that young population. So tell me, what are you telling them?
We're telling them that, and the unfortunate part is the disease has visited many of our families and friends.
Yes.
So because that message hits a lot closer to home, we're leaning in on that personal note, knowing that, this could have been an opportunity for a brother, cousin, mother, sister, whoever, right, to have a fighting chance at getting through this thing. Please like do it, and really looking at that personal note and ensuring that we're fighting too against some misinformation now, and that's the other issue. You see that running rampant on social media. They talked about the different accounts across social media platforms and those being connected to like just a few sources of information, spreading all of the misinformation that we're seeing in our country, right? So it is partly hitting again on that personal note and all of the ways that this has impacted and affected, again, particularly Black and Brown communities. Yeah. And the second part is fighting up against that misinformation with real information.
Absolutely. Now, Councilwoman, let me ask you, because maybe about a month ago, we lost a mayor to COVID-19 that didn't believe in the vaccine. How do you feel about your local elected officials that you got to be around? They don't want to take the shot. They don't want to wear the mask and they don't want to take the shot. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel saddened by some of my local officials for not doing the right thing, not stepping up and being a leader, being that example for your constituents. I just saw an email sent out from the mayor's desk from GMA, Georgia Municipal Association. It says, vax up. They want to know that we have 100% of our local officials that are vaxxed up. In that email, I know from the mayor and 3 other council people, we responded. But now I'm questioning the other 3. I mean, and if it's happening in my city, it's happening in someone else's city. We need to be the leaders. We need to get out there and articulate the need for vaccine up, because it's our community, as my friend Jonathan just stated, we're affected. Listen, Cook Funeral Home is in the city of Fairburn. He just had a funeral the other day at our church. He left there, went to another funeral someplace else, plus had one at his funeral home, 3 within a 2-hour span. All right. And if you actually talk to the funeral directors, oh my goodness, they just don't have time to funeralize everybody. And it's our community that's being affected. So please, if you hear the sound of my voice, vax up. It's important. You can save your life and your family's life as well.
Absolutely. And what I say to that, what our people don't understand, I'm talking to our people now. Not only now you facing with COVID-19, but now you're faced with a financial burden that just popped up that you weren't expecting. So I think education is the key. I think we should hold some education classes around it and get people ready. Do you think the country gonna close down, Council?
My belief is that our officials up in Washington, D.C. are going to come together at the last minute. They know that if they do what the other side wants to do, the Republicans wants to do, they understand that it's going to affect the economy throughout the United States. We're going to have more of a setback than we are going to be moving forward. So I believe in that 23rd hour that they're going to come together and they're going to do what they need to do. We don't need to shut our country down. It's Absolutely. The same thing like if we can be fiscally responsible in local government, they need to be fiscally responsible in the federal government.
Absolutely. We coming down to the last. We're gonna go with Jonathan. Jonathan, just tell me a little bit about your plans for the Democrat Party over the next year. Then we'll come back with your closing remarks.
Absolutely, and I'll make it very short. With October 4th being the last day to register to vote, with early voting kicking off that following week on the 12th. We just want to make sure that people have all of the information possible to make an informed decision and make it out to the ballot. Consider this the test run for what we are pushing for next year when it comes to our statewide elections. And we are looking at defending the gains that we have made in this state. And we'll be defending those vigorously.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Whitmore, we're going to close with you, your closing remarks. What do you want to see Fairburn do in the next 4 years. Wrap it up in 1 minute.
In 1 minute. Oof, I'm a preacher's kid. You asking me to do
I can tell.
well. The one thing that I would like to see that we're working on right now is we don't have a space where the city of Fairburn can come in the masses and celebrate each other. If whether we have a mayor's ball, Valentine's Day gathering, or anything. So what I have been afforded the opportunity to do is dream big. And now I'm working with people on staff to get a community center out of Duncan Park. We're looking for a 24,000 to a 34,000 square foot facility, which is needed because everyone knows we have the best park down here in the South. We have a semi-pro football field there that the Eric Berry Foundation has built. All right, so we promote our youth. We want to continue promoting our youth. But now we need to go that extra mile so that we can also engage our seniors as well. And by having that community center built within the next few years, it's going to provide dividends for the city of Fairburn. And let me just say one thing. The previous administration admittedly said, we don't need a community center here in Fairburn. They have one in Union City. Well, I, as an elected official here in Fairburn, saying, to you and all those that are listening, we need a community center here in Fairburn for our citizens. We represent them.
I totally agree. My suggestion to all the council down in the city of, in South Fulton, y'all get together and instead of taking our money up I-75 and down to, is that up 75 one way, 75 the other way, 85 the other way. Why don't we build some, bring them outlets to our community and some fine dining there. I'm a good cook, but every now and then I want to go and sit down at a White Linen. I love hamburger, but I like to eat with a fork too. Let me tell you, I want to thank you guys for coming out today. I had a great time. We're going to do a follow-up. We got some things coming down the pipe. We're going to be looking at your local elections. We're going to be entertaining them. And we're going to come out with the raw facts. Some people might not going to like it, but I'd rather tell the truth because see, the truth won't go nowhere, but a lie go all the way across the country. And so again, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
I want to stay on because they might take some pictures. I don't know if they took them yet, but if you guys just stay on for a second. Again, Jonathan, thank you. You keep on doing what you're doing, and I'll be hearing from you when you get that degree. Councilman Whitmore, you keep on doing what you're doing. I know it's, and I'm gonna say, I know it's hell sometimes fooling with us, especially when you got to feel fool with me. But you just keep on doing and serving the people. I believe if you put people first over politics, it'll go far. Again, I want to thank you guys for coming out today and just showing us some love and some information. Please make sure you go out and vote for your candidate or your choice. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming. And we'll just wait to get the queue and see if they're going to take those pictures for us. But it was great. Jonathan, when I heard you back here, I said, oh, that's a fire. Oh, my God. And I'll be watching you, too. I'll be watching you showing out. You know what? I love for our young folks to show out, especially our young Black men. I love when you show out. And when I saw you come out to what you call him, I said, look at him. And so I have to give praises where praises is due because I got a black son and I got a son and I'm going to go and let the cat out the bag. This time next year, he's going to be graduating from Mercer Law School. So
I love that.
We excited and we have to learn how to lift each other up, especially our young Black men, because you hear what they're doing this, they're doing that. But I'm going to tell you, we got some brilliant Black men, and I ain't going to leave the women out. We just got some brilliant folks, period. And Absolutely. So that's what made us come down here to the South. we could have stayed out there in California, but when we drove down here one year, we just fell in love with it. And so I love Georgia. I love serving the people, and I love, just being me. So again, thank you guys so much for coming on. I'm gonna send the